From the class of 2007, ladies and gentlemen, Dennis Rodman.
It's an August evening in 2011, and Dennis Rodman is being inducted into the Hall of Fame. The woman he embraces is also one of the first people he thanks.
Peggy King, Elton King, the family that these guys are taking care of me these days. Thank you, Peggy.
After they had appointed her their money manager, Peggy King had become like a second mother to Dennis and her other A-list clients. She swore to protect them from the pitfalls of bankruptcy and people looking to take advantage of them. That is with Dennis Rodman, where the story would take a dramatic turn, as that same year he would file for bankruptcy and just 2 years later was facing jail time for unpaid child support in the region of $300,000. Around the same time, Kristen Barnes, the then wife of NFL star Ricky Williams, was leaving the house for a school run when they discovered their Range Rover was missing, repossessed by their bank. It turns out Peggy King, or Mama Peggy as she was called, spent the noughties being just that, as the decade was spent transferring millions of dollars from her clients into a secret bank account she owned. It's the same heart-dropping confusion they and many others will feel. This is a story about lies and betrayal.
Usually how it happens is 3 words: power of attorney.
And I got robbed my first check. She finagled me to become my financial advisor.
She was also taking all of her clients' money.
It wasn't always this way for Peggy. She grew up in Louisiana to modest parents. She was unlucky in love, but would hit the jackpot with a third marriage after meeting a wealthy dentist by the name of Forrest King in the late 80s. She moved to Atlanta with him, and the two lived in a beautiful townhouse where she would raise their kids and manage his multi-million-dollar estate. She was good at it too, and life was good to her. And it was this way for a few years until tragedy struck one day as Peggy would unfortunately lose a mother to a house fire. This loss hit Peggy hard. Her mental health severely declined, and it affected her marriage to the point of divorce. When her brother was murdered a few years later, shot outside of a corner shop he ran, she couldn't hold it together anymore and lost the marriage too due to irreconcilable differences. Broken out of options, she moved back to Louisiana with her father and was about to run into an old friend who was going to change her life forever. Travis Best and Peggy met when he played basketball at Georgia Tech in the 90s. They became close, and she would order taxi rides or book any hotels he needed without him ever asking. He loved the care and attention Peggy gave him, and she insisted on not receiving a single penny for her help. But Peggy would discover with Travis and her other clients that these athletes were incredibly naive when it came to their money.
Usually how it happens is 3 words: power of attorney. That's how it happens. Your recurring bills usually fluctuate. So what you have to learn to do is the ones that don't, they're a fixed number. You wire that to the person that's paying the bill. The ones that do fluctuate, you gotta make sure that they're taken care of. The beauty of it is learning what you're not great at. That's what sports teaches you. And then you have to delegate those things to people that are experts. I don't anticipate an athlete playing football on Sunday and then all of a sudden following the Dow Jones on Monday. So it's important to have people you trust. It's important though to not minimize the importance of you taking the time and energy to watch over your bread.
Yeah.
You ain't too busy for it.
They almost never checked their bank statements, and this was when she formulated her plan. Separate bank accounts were created so she could pay his bills, invest in business opportunities, and ensure the athlete's family had money for their expenses. When Travis moved to Russia in 2005, he gave Peggy power of attorney over his life. This meant she had full control over his finances and business ventures and could act on his behalf when it came to his life and his investments. This was the moment Peggy made a decision that would alter the course of her life. She created another bank account. This one was in secret, and started moving money between the two. Travis never caught on, and so began the exorbitant shopping sprees. Louis Vuitton, Gucci, and Victoria's Secret became Peggy's favorite. She bought a mansion in Louisiana and a few luxury vehicles. This continued until Travis retired from professional basketball, and his return from Europe was greeted with a letter from the IRS claiming his taxes had not been paid for years. The dark realization hit him after a call with his lawyers confirming the million-year-wide Peggy never made it to the IRS. His lawyers discovered that she managed to steal $2 million while he was overseas. Hurt and embarrassed, he ended their relationship and did not pursue legal charges, leaving Peggy free to hunt for her next victim. Ricky Williams had been with the New Orleans Saints for 3 years when he met Peggy. She groomed him the same way she did Travis, and very soon Peggy was a permanent fixture in the Williams household. She even became best friends with his wife, Kristen Barnes. Peggy attended vacations with the family, even accompanying Kristen to the hospital when she gave birth. When Ricky got traded to the Miami Dolphins, Peggy uprooted her whole life to be with the family. But while Ricky thought he was getting the star treatment, Peggy was running his pockets dry. He was her cash cow. With Ricky, she was able to grow an already impressive client list, all while stealing millions of the athlete's hard-earned money. Unaware of a foul play, he introduced her to Lex Hilliard and almost the entire Dolphins backline. The names she dropped, which helped grow her client list to 31, included NBA vet Sean Marion, Jermaine O'Neal, and actor Cuba Gooding Jr.
Show me the money.
This was also around the time she met Rashad McCants, who was also new to the life of a professional athlete.
Now McCants fires a three.
As a rookie at Minnesota, it was his chance to get the donuts of the team as a fun initiation into Timberwolf life. This was when he discovered he had no money left from his rookie contract. Rashad McCants was the first athlete to discover her evil scam. Her story should have ended in 2005, and 4 years later, Travis Best found himself in the same situation. But like him, Rashad chose to cut ties and not involve law enforcement. On 2 occasions now, Peggy played with fire and did not get burned. She should have quit while she was ahead, maybe even become legit and build off her ill-gotten gain. But when Peggy met Dennis Rodman, who worked with his son Alkin, her eyes lit up like the Eiffel Tower. Alkin was a legitimate tour manager for Dennis, and she used the son to get close to him. He had been kicked out of LA for his wild parties and constant noise complaints. His spending and alcoholism was starting to get out of hand, and he wanted a quiet city that wouldn't tempt his wild party side, so he chose Miami. Peggy saw this as an opportunity to get a clause on Dennis. She gave him a key to her house so he could come and go as he pleased. Her husband at the time found Dennis eating breakfast in the kitchen one morning after a night out. Because this was rather normal for someone like Dennis Rodman, no one ever questioned them. But in the background, Peggy was cleaning her clients out. A continuous flow of bank transfers out of their accounts and into hers. A scam was brazen, but she hid the money well. 85 different bank accounts and shell corporations were created in Dennis Rodman's name, of which he had no idea existed. Peggy had made it. She had her old life back and more, way more. Yet no one questioned how she was able to achieve all this so quickly. They saw a Harvard degree and heard a Wall Street background and believed it all. She bought a mansion in Fort Lauderdale and by now had racked up an impressive fleet of cars. It became the Peggy Show when she started working for Dennis. Everyone wanted to know who this larger-than-life woman was and why she was always near some of America's superstar athletes. This prompted BET to shoot a pilot of a reality TV show showcasing the life of a celebrity finance manager. But while the pilot of the Peggy Show was being shot, the curtains on Peggy King were starting to close. Cracks in the facade started showing as Ricky and Dennis kept getting notices about unpaid bills like utilities, mortgage, taxes, or in Rodman's case, unpaid child support, which he almost went to jail for. Whenever instances like this arose, Peggy always had an excuse or would promise to handle the matter. And when Dennis was forced to file for bankruptcy, she doubled down, claiming he was irresponsible with money, taking even more control. But it all changed when Kristen was getting ready to take the kids to school one morning when she discovered their Range Rover was gone. And Kristen was the least bit surprised. She had recently been on a call with the wife of Lex led Rebecca. Both Lex and Rebecca's bank cards declined on the same day. They had no money in their accounts. And Peggy's excuses sounded eerily similar to the one she's been giving Ricky. Kristen wasn't too deeply involved in the family finances, although all that was about to change when the family discovered another letter from her IRS. Ricky owed $375,000 in unpaid taxes, penalties, and interest. Alarm bells now on a red alert as she called the Charles Schwab Corporation but found no funds were ever made in their name. She made yet another call, this time to an old friend who attended Harvard. Together they found out she had never been to the Ivy League institution. She made a final call, this time to a bank, and discovered she had been barred access to her accounts. They were missing almost $5 million. One day Peggy walked into their bank branch, disguised as Kristen, and made a large withdrawal. Peggy later locked Kristen out because out of the two, she was most likely to notice any foul play. The bank told the Williams family to hire a lawyer, so they filed a civil suit to recoup some of the money. But because the amount was so great, the FBI got involved. This was when Agent Hawkins started building a case against Peggy, and what he discovered led him directly to Dennis Rodman. And boy did Dennis need it. With proof from the FBI, he was finally able to accept that he had been swindled. Agent Hawkins showed him the offshore businesses she owned in his name, and all the purchases she made with the $2 million she stole from him. And Dennis, he was pissed. He called TMZ personally to tear a public image apart. But despite the mountains of evidence, Ricky and Dennis went the same route as Travis and Rashad, choosing to cut ties and leaving law enforcement out of it, seeing as the civil suit yielded little results. And Peggy, once again, would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for those pesky FBI agents. They seized all of her assets and luxury items, as well as froze all 85 bank accounts she owned with various aliases she accrued from her previous marriages. In an instant, everything she worked for was taken, and she knew her freedom was next. When the FBI showed up at her condo with an arrest warrant, she was in a bad state, and old habits die hard, as Agent Hawkins discovered a check from an orthopedic surgeon on her counter for $200,000. She conned the doctor into financing the purchase and development of an assisted living facility, except the owner was selling the property, claimed he had never done business with Peggy, nor had he ever met her, and neither had Sean Marion, Jermaine O'Neal, and Cuba Gooding Jr. She lied to everyone and kept lying, telling her clients that she lost all their money in bad investments, that she herself got scammed trying to make them money. She was sentenced to 10 years in a low-security prison in Alabama, where she remains till this day. Sources close to Travis Best and Ricky Williams say they felt used and betrayed. Rodman quoted saying, "I've got nothing to say about that. It's over. I'll never see my money again."